Okay, welcome everyone who's here. I'm really glad you are here because this is a very, very important subject. Uh, my name is Mugdha Pradhan. I am the founder and a functional nutritionist at Thrive. And what we do at Thrive is we reverse chronic diseases. And by virtue of that, diabetes is something that we work with almost every single day. Given the fact that India is the diabetes capital of the world, it's not even surprising that almost everyone who comes to us has something going on in terms of diabetes or insulin resistance in their body. So today's session is very, very important to me, and I think everyone else who's attending, because given the COVID and diabetes connection. So now I wanted to talk about, initially I just thought I'll talk about diabetes, and then as I started researching about it, I discovered that there's a very, very huge link between COVID and diabetes. And, I was researching this yesterday, I was looking at it today, and here's what happens. So this morning, my house help, who's come after many days, comes and tells me that, well, before we start, you know what, I just want to run a quick poll, and I just want to take you through the flow of the session, and then I'll go through my story of what happened this morning. Just hang on. So this is what we're doing today. We have an hour with us, which is very, very little time to actually discuss everything that I want to talk about. But we'll go through the introduction. We'll talk of why we're discussing diabetes. Why should you be learning about diabetes? We'll talk about Indians and the diabetes connection. How did we become the diabetes capital of the world? And I'll speak about the root causes of diabetes. I'll speak of the cost of untreated diabetes, what really happens when you don't treat diabetes. We'll also speak of the cost of living with diabetes. We'll speak of the symptoms of undiagnosed diabetes, and then we'll go to the COVID-19 and diabetes connection. And then we'll talk of how to reverse diabetes. Okay, so it's a lot. I've packed in as much as I could in 1 hour. I want to give you guys time for Q&A as well. We have a few participants here. I'm guessing more of them will join in as we start off. But this is the session flow. This is what we're going to do today. And I just want to run a quick poll before we start. This is not really going to happen for the Instagram people who are attending it. A lot of the fun stuff is happening on the Zoom and the FB Live call, but I'll try and make it fun for you also. So a quick poll before we start off. So one is, which language would you prefer me to speak in? And the second is just with reference to diabetes itself. Okay, so we'll wait for everyone's answers to come in. All right. If there's anyone on Insta, the question I'm asking is, which language would you prefer me to speak in, English or Hindi or a mix of both? And have you been diagnosed with diabetes? These are two questions I'm asking. So you could just give your answers there in the Insta chat, and I'll try and incorporate your ideas as well in this. All right, so another 10 seconds or so and we should see our results. All right, a majority of you are asking for this session to be done in English. Some of you are asking for it to be in a mix of both Hindi and English, which is okay. If most of you had said pure Hindi, I would have been like really stumped. But, and have you been diagnosed with diabetes? So there are a few people who've been diagnosed with diabetes here. All right. So I'm going to end the polling and we're going to get started with our session. All right, I'll share the results also so you guys can see. Okay. So this is the session flow. We're going to talk of these things, and in the end, we're going to come to how to reverse diabetes, because if I had started a session without helping you understand how to reverse something that's there as a reversible disease, then there would be no point of the session at all. All right. Okay, so the questions that I had, I finished asking them. Now, here's the thing, right? So I'm just going to stop sharing my slides for a minute, and I'm going to Look at you guys. Can you turn on your videos? I'd love to see your like it's so much easier talking to a screen when you can see other people's faces there. So if you can turn on your videos, if you don't mind doing that, please do that. But see, the reason why diabetes is such a big disease is people just think of it, you know, high sugar, blood sugar, sugar हो गया है, मुझे sugar आ गया है, मैं sugar की दवाई ले रही हूँ. Those are the kind of statements we usually hear without people really understanding the long-term consequences. So, क्या हो सकता है diabetes से, right? सिर्फ diabetes का diagnosis, what does it mean? Does it just mean that you can't eat sweets for the rest of your life, or does it have a bigger implication? So what we have seen in our work, I'm going to go back to sharing the screen, but diabetes जो बीमारी है, diabetes as a disease has an impact on the entire body, from your brain, your eyes, to your skin, to your kidneys, to your feet. हर जगह diabetes का असर हो सकता है, and that is what I just want to show you in the next slide. So I'm going to go back and share my screen. You Insta guys, I really wish I had found some way of beaming my slides to you, but for now I'm just sharing it with the Zoom and FB Live folks. So here you go. So this is what I was talking of, right? So if you have high blood sugar levels, I'm not going to go into the technical details of how this happens, because then this will be an 8-hour talk. But you could have anything from a stroke to a diabetic foot, right? So you could get a clot in your brain, and in fact what they are saying now is Alzheimer's, जो Alzheimer's disease होता है, जो हम सोचते हैं बूढ़े लोगों को होता है, Alzheimer's can happen, like now they're calling Alzheimer's type 3 diabetes, which means that जो भी diabetes के root causes है, whatever is causing diabetes in the first place, can also cause a disease like Alzheimer's. So diabetes complications can affect the brain. Diabetes can result in heart attacks. Diabetes can cause something called as a peripheral artery disease, which means आपके जो नसें, I think, I don't know, maybe, but arteries, the ones that run through your legs, those can start getting affected because of high blood sugar levels. So आपके अगर sugar levels बहुत दिनों के लिए high रहेंगे, तो आपके जो arteries है, उन पे भी impact होने लगता है. There is something called as diabetic retinopathy, where your eyes and your vision starts getting impacted. So your retina, the organ in your eye that is responsible for light response, that can start getting damaged. And then you can develop cataract. So your eyes can big time get impacted by high diabetes levels. There is something called as diabetic nephropathy, which is the kidneys, right? So, and we have seen this. हमारे काम में भी हम लोगों ने देखा है Thrive में कि people who have diabetes for a very long time, their kidneys get impacted. So one is the blood sugar levels and the glucose that the kidney has to flush out all the time. Secondly, if you're taking diabetes medication, then that diabetes medication itself आपके kidney को affect करने लग सकता है, right? So diabetes can impact the kidneys as well. And then peripheral neuropathy. So whatever happens in your eyes, how your nerves start getting damaged. Similarly, even the nerves in your legs can start getting damaged by diabetes. There is a condition called as diabetic foot, where you know, your skin leaves, so you start getting wounds on your feet and they don't heal, and it gets really gross, in fact, and it's a very, very difficult condition for people who have it to live with. A lot of people don't know erectile dysfunction is triggered by diabetes. So if you've had diabetes for long, it can impact your sex life. And when we go to the impact of diabetes, we'll talk of that, the emotional consequences of living with diabetes, but diabetes can also cause erectile dysfunction. So you know, it's one single label. आपको एक लेबल मिलता है कि आपको डायबिटीज हो गया है, आपके शुगर लेवल्स हाई है, बट उस एक लेबल से आपके बॉडी में और क्या क्या हो सकता है ये जानना बहुत important है. And it's really important that you understand that the body is one unit. You know, you don't have a head separately that you can take to a neurologist, or you don't have a heart separately that you take to a cardiologist. Everything is in the same body. And it's in your body. So if one thing is going to get affected, then the rest of the body is going to be impacted by it. That's why you should be worried about diabetes, even if the COVID-19 situation was not there. So this is pre-March 2020. These are all the reasons why you should be worried about diabetes. All right. Moving on to the next slide, which is what, as an Indian, as a person who treats people in India, as a person who is working with the most number of Indians, this is something that really concerns me. And we'll go to the case studies here. Not the case studies, we'll go to the research papers here, but in 2019, 30 million people were already diagnosed with diabetes. And I'm not even talking of undiagnosed diabetes. I'm actually talking of people who received a diabetes diagnosis. There were 30 million people in 2019 with diabetes diagnosis, which means all the conditions that I mentioned before could likely happen in their body. India has the highest number of diabetics in any one country of the world. Like if you look at any country, even the US, given the number of diabetic diagnoses we have in India, India is leading in that. It's a shameful thing to be leading in, but we are the world leaders when it comes to diabetes. And we'll quickly go to some papers that tell us why that is happening. Like why is it that Indians are more predisposed to diabetes, right? So give me 1 minute. I just have to figure out how to end this slide. Yeah. So here, now what we have seen is, why is it that Indians are the most susceptible to diabetes, right? What really is triggering it? Is it our eating habits? Not really, because if you look at the US, if you look at other countries, there's an equal amount of junk food being eaten. McDonald's came to the US before it came to India. KFC came there, fried food. I mean, you know, all this processed food first came abroad before it came to our country. So why is it then that despite us having more, okay, that's somebody driving their car really badly. But why is it that despite us actually having more home cooking and more eat at home kind of practices, why do we still come up as the diabetes capital of the world? And again, you Insta guys are going to miss on this, but here is a research paper that talks of this. One of the reasons is, you know, the glycemic load, as in the how our body relates to sugar, is also largely dependent with the muscle mass. And Indians, by genes, whatever has happened to us genetically over years, by the way our bodies are structured, we are smaller in stature. We don't have the kind of muscle mass that Caucasians do. Plus, now we are adapting to a westernized, so we are eating the kind of food the Caucasians do without really our genes changing too much, and then that metabolic load is what makes it worse for us. And that's one of the reasons why Indians are leading the world statistics in terms of diabetes. And then you have another paper that's talking of Asian Indians with pre-diabetes. They have similar skeletal muscle mass. So we'll go to this one and a little more in detail when we talk of undiagnosed diabetes. But the third reason why India is leading in terms of diabetes numbers is we have a lot of undiagnosed diabetic cases. So diagnosed diabetes is जब आप डॉक्टर के पास जाते हो and the doctor gives you you know, they blood test करवाते हैं and then they tell you that your blood sugar levels are high, आपकी sugar high है, आपको diabetes है, right? So that is how diabetes gets diagnosed. Now a lot of people suffer from the symptoms of diabetes without going for those tests, and they don't even know that they might actually be having diabetes. And that is one reason why we are becoming the diabetes capital. So people suffer from diabetes symptoms for very long. They don't know those can be reversed. They don't know those can be modified. And then suddenly one day when the symptoms become really bad or they have some other health issue, they go to the doctor. And you know, the doctor runs these tests and then they say, oh, you have diabetes. And by now the diabetes levels have become really high. So one of the reasons why India is the diabetes capital of the world is because of the undiagnosed, uncontrolled diabetes that's going on. I did have one more research paper which was showing how our skeletal muscle mass is lower than Caucasians. I don't think that window is open here, but I will send it in the email, the follow-up email that I send, I'll send it there. So this is one reason why Indians have a higher susceptibility. It's to do with our genes, it's to do with our body type, it's to do with our metabolic type, and the fact that we are now eating the kind of food that is not really suited to this body type, and that's triggering a metabolic problem and creating diabetes in us. All right. So I am going back to my slides because I want to get through the slides soon, and I can do like I can actually interact with you guys and do Q&A. Okay, so then the question that one must ask is what really triggers diabetes, right? So I spoke of how India is the diabetes capital of the world. I spoke of the different things that diabetes can trigger. I spoke of how diabetes complications itself can lead to other health problems. But the question then that I love answering, and we always ask at Thrive, is why did somebody get diabetes? So what is the root cause, right? So diabetes is just a label. आपको diabetes हुआ है is like telling you आपका सर दर्द हो रहा है, right? So why are your blood sugar levels high? What is really triggering your blood sugar levels to go above optimal is the question to ask, and that's what I will come into next. How many? So I can't run a poll right now, but by a show of hands or somehow, if you can just how many of you have heard of the word insulin in connection with diabetes? Can you do reactions? Yeah, I think you can, right? So yeah, a lot of you have heard of the word insulin. The thing about insulin is it's largely the reason why people get diabetes, and we'll go into that quickly right now, that what is the correlation between insulin and diabetes. So I'm just going to play a quick video that will make it easier for me to explain the connection between insulin and diabetes.
The pancreas, located behind the stomach, is involved in the body's ability to use glucose. Within the pancreas, tiny structures called islets of Langerhans secrete hormones into the blood. These islets are composed of several cell types. One cell type, beta cells, release insulin after every meal. Insulin, along with glucose, passes into the bloodstream and travels throughout the entire body. Insulin binds to specific receptors located on cells. The binding prompts the opening of glucose gates, allowing glucose to enter the cell. Diabetes is a disease in which the body has trouble using glucose. In type 1 diabetes, the beta cells are no longer able to produce insulin. In type 2 diabetes, insulin is produced and binds with the cell's receptors. However, when insulin binds with the receptor, the glucose gates fail to open, preventing the entry of glucose into the cell.
So that is a short video that explains how the pancreas actually creates insulin and how insulin takes glucose into cells, right? So those of you on Instagram, basically pancreas is the organ that's there right under the liver, and that's the one that's making this hormone called insulin. So insulin is what opens up a cell's gates so that when glucose is released from the food that we eat, this glucose can go. And आपके जो डॉक्टर बोलते हैं ना शुगर बढ़ गया है, या when you say my diabetes levels are up, basically what you're measuring is this amount of glucose that is there in your bloodstream. तो ये glucose bloodstream में बढ़ता कैसे? How does your blood sugar level go up? And this diagram explains it pretty well. So we just saw what the pancreas does, right? The pancreas releases insulin. The insulin goes and attaches to an insulin receptor. Once the insulin receptor opens up to insulin, the insulin triggers the glucose receptors to open, and glucose goes and enters your cell. When glucose enters your cell, then the cells can use that glucose to make energy and to do everything it's supposed to do. Now, if you have type 2 diabetes, we'll go to type 1 later, but I'll just take you to type 2 diabetes. So if you have type 2 diabetes, which is what most of the people in India develop, it is type 2 diabetes, lifestyle related diabetes. Pancreas will release insulin. The insulin goes to the insulin receptor, but the insulin receptor does not open up to insulin, right? So there is something called as insulin resistance. So the gate itself closes. So insulin comes to the gate, but the gate is closed and the gate is not opening. And when the gate is not opening, then insulin can't go inside the cell and ask the cell to open up to glucose. So insulin doesn't go inside the cell, then the glucose is still floating outside only. And all the glucose that is floating outside now is there in your bloodstream. So this is what gets measured by all those AccuCheck, all those glucometers or your blood samples, whatever they're taking to test your blood sugar levels. This floating glucose is what is getting measured in those tests. And the higher the floating glucose, the higher your blood sugar levels. And this floating glucose, floating sugar in your blood is really what causes all the damage that is associated with diabetes. All the risks of diabetes, the kidney problems, the eye problems, the Alzheimer's kind of situation, the diabetic foot, all of those problems are caused by this extra glucose floating around, including weight gain, right? So you don't become diabetic because you're overweight, you actually gain weight because of diabetes, and the root cause of that is insulin resistance. So if you have extra glucose floating around in your bloodstream, if too much of this glucose is there, your body knows it is dangerous and it has to convert it into fat to store it, because just glucose floating on its own can cause a lot of damage to your internal organs. So the body starts converting this glucose into fat and it starts storing it. Also, sometimes it stores it as a, like, you know, the body thinks, oh, there's too much glucose, let me store it for future energy. It's a survival mechanism. It's an adaptation that the body has developed from our ancestral times. So from one perspective, it's good that your body can convert glucose and store it as fat. So in periods of starvation, you can actually always have energy sources from your body itself. You don't need to eat food all the time. But if you're eating a lot of food and you have insulin resistance and glucose is not entering your bloodstream, and that is why glucose is getting stored as fat, then that is what creates excess weight. All right. So this is the relationship between insulin and diabetes. So anytime somebody has diabetes, the root cause always is insulin not being used properly. So in type 2, the lifestyle related diabetes, it's this insulin resistance that we see, that you're seeing here in this image. In type 1 diabetes, what really happens is the beta cells of the pancreas, they are not able to produce enough insulin. If you see this in the diagram here, the cells itself are damaged. So when they don't produce enough insulin, you might eat food, glucose might be released, but then insulin is not going to those insulin receptors to open it up. And then because that's not happening, your glucose can't enter your bloodstream. And then again, you have high blood sugar levels. So these are the two ways in which insulin, either too less of insulin or insulin not being able to enter into your cells, or the insulin resistance itself can start triggering diabetes in a human body. The goal is always to get a person from this place to back to a healthy place. And this can happen. We've seen this happen in so many cases, which I will show you later. All right, moving on to the next. This is something that I wanted to cover and I wanted to talk about, because often, see, people think that once they've been given a diagnosis by conventional medicine or by their doctors, that they have to live with it. Not many people know that a lot of these lifestyle diseases are reversible, including हाई बीपी. तो लोग सोचते हैं कि अभी बीपी हो गया तो बीपी की दवाई जिंदगी भर लेनी है, थायराइड हो गया थायराइड की दवाई जिंदगी भर लेनी है, राइट? दैट्स व्हाट इवन पीपल थिंक अबाउट डायबिटीज. दे थिंक दैट वंस यू बीन गिवन अ डायबिटीज डायग्नोसिस, तो अभी गोली लेके जीना है, गोली लेके मीठा खा सकते हैं तो चल जाएगा, राइट? A lot of people think that if they take that metformin or Galvus or Glycomet, whatever, वो एक गोली लेंगे तो शाम को थोड़ा मीठा खा सकते हैं हम लोग, उतना ब्लड शुगर नहीं बढ़ जाता. That is a very wrong approach. You're not taking the medicine so that you can eat sugar. You are being given a medicine so that your sugar levels are suppressed artificially without finding out what is triggering diabetes in the first place. But assuming you still want to do that, कि आपको वैसे ही जीना है, कि आप गोली लेके मीठा खा के आपको जीना है, right? आपका खर्चा कितना होगा? So the average monthly expense of somebody living with diabetes can go from 3,000 to 8,000. And I'll tell you how, right? So it's not just the cost of the medicines. You will need to consult your doctor at least once a month, if not twice. So consultations itself can go to about 700 rupees if it's not a very expensive doctor. Second, your doctor will want to look at your blood sugar levels. So lab test तो आपको करवाने पड़ेंगे, at least sugar के, HbA1c and blood sugar के test आप करवाएंगे, उसका monthly around 500 होता है. And then आप जो medicines लेते हो, Glycomet, Metformin, अगर if you're dependent on insulin, then आपके insulin के injections, generally diabetes अकेले नहीं आता है. So diabetes comes with high BP, diabetes comes with other problems. So all those medicines put together, usually they come up to around 6,000 rupees. So lowest is 3,000, highest the cost of living with diabetes on a monthly basis can go up to 8,000 rupees. Plus, you will end up with other health complications, right? So your kidneys at some point will start getting impacted. Your eyes will start getting impacted. Like all the health complications we spoke of in the first slide, all of those will happen in due course of time. There is no evading them if you don't reverse your diabetes. So there will be the added cost of those health complications. We've had patients who've come to us who are at a pre-dialysis state or they're already undergoing dialysis, and if we ask them where it all began, how did it begin, often it either began with high BP medication or it began with diabetes medication. So I am not scaremongering or joking when I say that the cost of living with diabetes just keeps getting incremental and incremental. Sometimes over time, if you calculate, like let's say you got diagnosed with diabetes when you were maybe 40, by the time you're 65, you would have spent nearly 8 lakhs on your diabetes. I am not kidding about this. Plus the impact on emotional health, right? Like everybody's eating sweet in your family and you can't eat it, so you feel really miserable about yourself. People are celebrating occasions and then you have to control that. Like you just think sweet is the root cause of diabetes, so you will not eat sweet and you'll feel bad. The emotional toll of somebody not being able to eat mangoes in mango season because they have diabetes, I know what that feels like, right? So the impact on emotional health when you have diabetes, when you can't eat your favorite foods, when you can't socially interact, now though with social distancing, social interaction is gone, but even then, plus if you have diabetes triggered health complications like erectile dysfunction or frequent urinary tract infections in women or vaginal infections, your physical intimacy with your partner gets impacted big time, and people underestimate the importance of physical intimacy, but that also can impact emotional health. So this cost, right, the cost of diabetes impact on emotional health, I can't put it in tangible numbers. I can't say that, oh, this is like 3,000 rupees per month. I can't. But the person who's suffering that, the person who's feeling really low about life, the person who's going through that will know what that cost is. So it is just incremental. Now, this is the cost of living with diagnosed diabetes. If you go through life with undiagnosed diabetes, will come to the cost of that, especially in the COVID-19 situation. It is the one cost people are paying for undiagnosed diabetes. All right, moving on to the next slide. I'm quickly talking of the symptoms of undiagnosed diabetes, because a lot of people, like when I send them the email about this session or when I WhatsApp them about this session, people are asking questions about, okay, I've not done my blood test and I'm scared to go to the lab right now, given that COVID is around. I would think labs are actually more safer than your grocery stores because labs are like sterilized all the time. But even then, if you're afraid of going to the lab, how could you find out that maybe you're having some level of diabetes going on in your body, right? Or like insulin resistance, or the beginning of diabetes, what we call as pre-diabetes. Now this chart quickly shows you some of the symptoms. One is you might always feel hungry, like you would have eaten a meal and you still want to eat. And the reason why that's happening is because you've eaten a meal, your body's broken that down to glucose, but that glucose is unable to enter your cells for energy. So your body's sending a signal to your brain that, oh, I haven't gotten food yet, please feed me. And then you're always feeling hungry. Secondly, you might always feel thirsty. Now, again, this gets technical, but if you have excess glucose floating around in your bloodstream, your kidney has to keep dumping that out because it's a safety mechanism that your body has, which by virtue of which you will urinate a lot. So because you're urinating a lot, you will also end up feeling thirsty all the time. Dizziness, especially if you miss a meal or if you've woken up and you had your breakfast a little later. Dizziness is another symptom of undiagnosed diabetes, especially early morning dizziness. Unexplained weight loss, that usually happens in type 1 diabetes. It doesn't happen in type 2. We are focusing on type 2 right now. Unexplained weight gain is a symptom of type 2 diabetes, where you're generally just gaining 1 to 2 kgs, 3 kgs per month and you're cutting down on food, but you're still gaining weight. Frequent urination we spoke of. Numb or tingling hands and feet. Remember the early slide, the first slide I showed you about the complications of diabetes, how your nerves in your extremities can get damaged. तो आपके nerves जब थोड़े थोड़े damage होने लगते हैं because of excess glucose, तो you know, you might have tingling and numbness in your hands and feet. So that's one of the symptoms of, but it's not an early symptom. If it's basically you got undiagnosed for very long, then you'll start experiencing tingling and numbness in hands and feet. Candida is basically the vaginal infection that I spoke of. So if you have very high blood sugar levels, that's something that bacteria love to feed on. And then typically urinary tract infections and Candida kind of vaginal infections do happen if you have high blood sugar levels that have not been diagnosed. So I can't remember where I had read this. I just recollected it. But diabetes in the Greeks and all that was a disease of the rich, and people with diabetes. I think that's also where the root diabetes comes from. But apparently, the people who had diabetes, when they would urinate, their urine would be so high in sugars and glucose that there would be ants in that zone. You can, it's a fun fact, you can Google it. I can't remember where I read it, but I don't even know how true it is, but maybe it is. Skin problems, slow healing, because like your nerves are getting damaged, right? So even healing and everything slows down. Sexual health problems we spoke of, blurry vision, because your retina and the nerves in your eyes are getting damaged, so you will start getting blurry vision. And then irritation. So this is something that a lot of people don't know, and it's one of the earliest symptoms of insulin resistance, that if you miss a meal, if you don't get your food in time, you might suddenly become like, you know that movie, Bhul Bhulaiya, there was this Manjolika character. From a normal, nice person, you might suddenly become a Manjolika kind of a person who's like getting annoyed and angry and irritable and cranky, because glucose is the primary source of fuel for your brain. It's what your brain uses for energy. And now if your body is glucose depleted, if there's not enough insulin, if your cells are not getting energy, then all the signals are going to your brain, right? So it just causes irritation that I'm not getting what I need. And then that kind of crankiness, if you miss a meal or if your food gets delayed by 15-20 minutes, that's typically a very, very sure sign of insulin resistance. And then of course, elevated blood sugar levels. I mean, that like for that you would have to get a test done, but that's a definite sign of your blood sugar levels being elevated and of you having insulin resistance and pre-diabetes. Feeling tired all the time can also be because of insulin resistance, because you might be eating a lot of food, like I said, but that glucose is not going into your cells, so your body is feeling fatigued all the time. So feeling tired is a sign of insulin resistance as well. Apart from that, what we have noticed in our work, हमने क्या देखा है कि जिनको बहुत मीठा खाने का craving होता है, excess cravings for sweet is one of the symptoms of undiagnosed diabetes. How many of you here have sweet cravings? Oh, I should have run a poll for this, but now I can't set it up. Anyone here have like excess, especially after you finish a meal, like you eat food and after that you want to eat something sweet? Like you could do a show of hands. I think that option is there. You could just do a yes, no, or something like that. But how many of you here, even on Insta, who was watching, how many of you, like after a meal, you just feel the need to have something sweet, right? Like kuch to meetha khana hai. So that is also a symptom of insulin resistance and diabetes, because again, like I said, you've eaten food and your body is trying to digest that, and all the glucose is released, but the glucose is not going into your cells where your body is going to use it for making energy. So the feedback that the system gets is, get something sweet and maybe that will quickly give me energy. So that is one reason why you could have sweet cravings. Insulin resistance could be the root cause of it. So that's symptoms of undiagnosed diabetes. For those of you who had questions around this, a lot of you asked me this, that how do I know if I have diabetes or not, if I've not done my blood test? I hope this makes it clear. Okay, now we go to the one thing that I wanted to talk about. So I've just shared a few screenshots and then I'll take you to those research, the articles. But this is what is really scaring me. And this is what, I was telling you when I started the session, that I was researching this particularly, like what is really happening with COVID-19 and diabetes. Why are more people getting impacted? More people who have diabetes getting impacted by it. Like if you saw the slide, nearly 40% people who died with COVID-19 had diabetes, right? And it's interesting. This morning, my house help came and she was like, she met me after many days because Pune went through its sixth lockdown. And she was telling me that her husband's cousin brother, who was much younger than her husband, he died of corona. So I said, how is that even possible? He was young, right? He should have recovered. And she's like, nahi, हाँ बहुत ही यंग थे, 30s में थे और अच्छे खासे थे और उनको 5 दिन में वो मर गए. And then she took me through like his entire symptoms and what happened, and it was indeed corona, and they did a test and it came positive, and then he had all of that, like the lung blood clots and him throwing up blood. But I was not willing to accept that somebody that young could have just died without no underlying root causes, because that's the data that's we are seeing, that healthy people are recovering. It's like 99.9% recovery rate. So as I started asking her more, I asked her, was he a little like overweight? She's like, हाँ वो तो बचपन से ही एकदम मोटे थे. I was like, उनकी sugar high थी क्या कभी? She said, हाँ उनकी blood sugar high. And I was like, bingo, this is it. So whether you're young or old, it doesn't really matter when it comes to COVID-19, right? What we are seeing is there are a few diseases, underlying dysfunctions, that age doesn't matter, it's indiscriminate. But if you have these conditions, then COVID-19 becomes a really high risk viral infection for you. Otherwise, it's just like any other virus. So let me just take you to why that is happening. Okay, Insta people, again, you're missing on the nice slideshow and the research papers that I'm presenting, but you can drop in your email IDs here in the Insta chat. And what I'll do is when I send these slides and the research papers, I'll send it to you guys also. All right, so here is the first one, right? COVID-19 in people with diabetes, understanding the reasons for worst outcomes. So while my internet loads, and this just came like 2-3 days ago, this Lancet paper. So what is happening here is with the high levels of glucose, okay, it's loaded. All right, let's scroll down quickly. So they are looking at not just Wuhan, they're looking at Britain, they're looking at Wuhan, they're looking at India, and what they're seeing is having diabetes becomes a very, very high risk factor. So look at this, a greater risk for viral infection was observed in people with diabetes. And not just COVID, they are saying they've looked at data even with SARS and MERS and all the other respiratory infections that have happened in the past. And this is what they're saying. So there's another paper here. Why is COVID-19 killing US people with diabetes at a much alarming rate? Again, as is always with all my live sessions, I will send all the links that are there in the email after this session. Okay. So I'm going to scroll down. All right, my internet is like super slow right now, which I'm not surprised. I'm streaming on 2 devices to live sessions. Okay, but basically what these articles and these research papers are saying is that because of the already elevated blood sugar levels, which creates tissue inflammation, and because of the medications that people are taking, so there are a lot of cofactors that are happening along with diabetes. Look at this. This is an Indian paper. The risk of a fatal outcome from COVID-19 is up to 50% higher in people with diabetes, right? So here, it doesn't matter whether you've been diagnosed with diabetes or not, whether you're on diabetes medication or not, none of that matters. If you have elevated blood sugar levels, then your risk of a fatal outcome from COVID-19 becomes much, much, much higher. And that is really dangerous. So first, for us, we were just treating diabetes as a lifestyle disease, and people were coming to us and they just wanted to reverse that. And, you know, they wanted to lose weight and they wanted to feel more energetic and healthier, which are all great health goals. I mean, I wouldn't dismiss any of those. But now, given that there indeed is a real virus that's come, whether it's been made in a lab from Wuhan, whether it's something that's mutated in the last 4 months, I don't know. I have not studied that in that much detail, but I have come to the conclusion that there's definitely a virus that exists, that spreads very quickly, that is not fatal to nearly 99.99% of the population. But if you have diabetes, then it can be something that can get pretty messy for you. So you might still recover from it, but it can get really, really serious for you. Oh, my screen, is it shared or is it not shared on Zoom? Oh, wait, I thought I'd shared my screen. Sorry, guys, 1 minute. I'll just share my screen and show you the research papers. Okay, so here you go, right? So this is the research paper I was talking of. They've gone through a lot of different variables. They've gone through gender, they've gone through races, they've looked at Blacks, Asian, British, Caucasian, they've looked at all of that, and they've come to the hypothesis that longer duration of diabetes, the prevalence of diabetes complications are there in people who are older than 65. That's why most people who are older had more fatal outcomes. But diabetes is a definite comorbidity when it comes to COVID-19. All right. So I don't mean to scare you. It's just that the data I have seen, like, ये मैंने research करके मैंने मतलब जान लिया, तो I have to share it with people. And that is why I'm sharing this. So if you have any of the symptoms we've discussed and you've not been diagnosed yet, or if you want to just get your blood test done and find out, please find out your risk of diabetes. India is the diabetes capital of the world. हमारे genes में ही diabetes छप के आया है शायद, given whatever has happened to our parents and our grandparents over time. We eat very differently. हम लोग अब जो खाते हैं, मतलब even lockdown में काफी लोगों ने order in किया है instead of making their own food, and then restaurant food has so much oil and so many things that actually create health problems, right? So I wouldn't be surprised if I see, like, already when we get blood test, Thrive में जब हमारे पास लोगों के blood report आती है ना, तो nearly 95% लोगों में insulin resistance रहता ही है. Like diabetes, या तो diabetes already start हुआ होता है, या फिर diabetes के जो होने वाले पहले, like the insulin resistance, the videos and all that we saw earlier, all of those are already there in people who come to Thrive. So please, given that COVID-19 is now spreading and lockdowns have been removed, all of us will be exposed to it at some point of time or the other. Make sure you get your risk of diabetes lowered as soon as you can. All right. So how do you reverse? Like, one is like learning about this and then feeling a little anxious that, oh my God, what happens if I have diabetes? Does that mean a surefire fatal outcome for me? No, that's not really the agenda of doing this talk. It's about sharing knowledge. It's about helping you learn what can you do to own your body. And it is very easy to reverse diabetes. So I'm just quickly going to show you people who have reversed their diabetes. Okay, let me just go back to presentation mode. All right, thanks for sharing your email there. I'll definitely send you the research papers and the presentation itself. That's for the person on Insta. And this is the first time I'm live streaming to 2 different platforms. So once I'm looking at this camera and once I'm looking at that camera, I'm pretty sure the recorded version is going to look a little weird, but still I get to share my message with more people at the same time. All right, so here I'm back to sharing my screen, and what I want to quickly do is show you the number of people who have successfully reversed diabetes at Thrive. Okay, it's loading. And then I'll actually take you through numbers, real numbers, where you can see what's changed. We've just hidden their names. They've all agreed to share their pictures for this. But so many people have come to us with diabetes, pre-diabetic symptoms, and or in the blood test, we've seen those levels, and we've helped them get off their medication, and we've helped them actually reverse their diabetes. So let me just take you to the data.
क्या बोल रहे हो भाई? सौम्या का ऑर्डर कैसे पंच करूं भाई जब उसका ईनास में?
आप प्लीज माइक म्यूट करेंगे? All right, let's just wait for this document to load. So what I'm doing on my screen, I'm sharing a research paper that we are going to publish soon. This research paper has data from the Thrive tribe of people who come to us, and we actually have everybody's before after results, right? So we have their before blood test, we have their after blood test, and I'll also show you which are the blood tests that someone needs to do if they want to check for their diabetes levels. So the people on Insta, you're going to be missing this, but what we look at when we look for somebody's risk of diabetes is fasting and postprandial. So after, like before and after blood sugar levels, then we look for HbA1c, and then we look for what we call as fasting and postprandial. So before fasting and after a meal, insulin levels also, because just looking at your blood sugar levels is never enough. You need to also look at your insulin resistance and your insulin levels. So I'm going back to the data here. We've hidden their names because we don't want that to be public, but we've kept their ages for you to see. You know, diabetes is quite indiscriminatory when it comes. So here you're looking at the fasting blood glucose level, you're looking at the postprandial. So this is data after 3 months. This is the first, the red one, and always the red is like the worst. When they come to us, it's in a really bad state, and when they end the program with us, we see a lot of improvement. So we have fasting blood glucose, we have postprandial blood glucose levels, then we have the HbA1c, and then we have fasting serum insulin and postprandial serum insulin. And if you look at it, in almost all, I think in every single case, we have seen an improvement from the before and after. See, not all of them are within optimal ranges in 3 months. Sometimes if the diabetes is chronic or if they are on medications for diabetes, right? So हमारे पास काफी patient आते हैं जो medicine ले रहे diabetes का और उनको diabetes उनका reverse करना है. तो हम पहले in like the first month and a half, we'll start working on lifestyle changes, dietary changes, and then we'll slowly reduce the medication. So कुछ cases में क्या होता है, medicine बंद करते हैं तो थोड़ा blood sugar increase होता है थोड़े दिनों के लिए, but वो भी कम होने लगता है. बट आप देखिए काफी केसेस में किसी का मतलब HbA1c 9.7 से 7.6 तक गया है, फ्रॉम 7.2 6.3 गया है, 265 ब्लड शुगर लेवल से 218 तक गया है. फिर so this, if you see, it shows your blood sugar, fasting and postprandial, but what I am more interested always in is in the serum insulin level, because the more sensitive your body becomes to insulin, the better your blood sugar control will be over time. So that is what we track a lot. And if you look at the numbers, they're pretty amazing. From double-digit numbers, they go into single-digit numbers. From 3-digit numbers, from triple-digit numbers, they go into double-digit numbers, sometimes back into single-digit numbers. So this is what just finding the root cause for your insulin resistance and working on it actively can do. It can actually start reversing diabetes. So you're no longer at risk for all the other lifestyle diseases like a kidney dysfunction and so many other things that we spoke of. Plus your risk of COVID-19, death by COVID really goes down, because you'll also lose weight, your BP medications also will stop. So this is what we do, and it is really possible to make this happen. How to do this is primarily through lifestyle changes. So you have to find out what's really triggering insulin resistance. Maybe you're eating some food that is inflammatory for you, right? So that could be triggering it. Maybe you're eating a lot of refined oils, and those are the ones triggering insulin resistance. Maybe you're deficient in something like chromium. Like chromium is a mineral that your body needs to make insulin. So maybe you're deficient in chromium, and that's why insulin is not being produced. So there could be a lot of reasons why you have insulin resistance. So the diabetes why doesn't just end at insulin resistance. The diabetes why continues to ask why did you get insulin resistance in the first place and what can we do to prevent it. So that is what I wanted to talk about. I am now keeping it open to questions. In case any of you have your blood test or you want to reach out to us and ask about your own personal risk of diabetes after listening to what I've said, so you can contact, so the number is displayed on screen here for the people on Zoom, but on Insta, if you're there, you can contact 77966-92504. Or just ping me or just DM me and I'll share the number with you. Or you can send a mail to hello@thrive.fnc. And now I'm going to stop sharing my slides and I'm going to open it up to questions. I know I have exceeded my time again, but if anyone, so let's open it up. And I think even if you unmute, it's okay. All right, so let's go one by one. So Mohit is asking, most of the symptoms seem general in nature. If we have a few of them, does that mean we are at risk? See, Mohit, basically your body without disease will be symptom free. So if you're having some symptom, it's your body's mechanism, it's your feedback mechanism. Your body is telling you, hey, I'm showing you this, something is wrong internally. Like, you know, when you're driving your car and if the suspension is broken, you're going to hear noises, right? Or maybe the steering wheel is really tight and you can't turn enough, or maybe the brakes are, you know, have become, I don't know what happens to brakes, but something must be happening. So your car will keep giving you different feedback mechanisms, right, to tell you something's not right, or sometimes the fuel itself might be low and you might see that indicator go down. So if you're experiencing any of the symptoms I've mentioned here, then your body is definitely trying to give you a feedback saying something's wrong, look at it, fix it. Does that mean you have diabetes? Not always, because sometimes you could feel lethargic because of a thyroid gland not functioning well also. But you should be symptom free through the day. You shouldn't be needing, for example, tea or coffee to wake up and get through the day. Or, you know, if you're feeling excessively thirsty, then something's wrong for sure. Maybe your electrolyte balance is off. But they are not general symptoms, Mohit. They are symptoms of a specific disease. Then Ami wants to know what's the time period between before and after test. These ones we do after 3 months, Ami. For every person who comes to us, sometimes now in the lockdowns they got delayed, but this data is from our earlier patients. It's not, it's much before February also. So all of these are 3 months. Which muscle building exercise recommended for weak back individuals? Ramesh, I am not qualified to answer that question. I am a nutritionist and I work with lifestyle diseases. So in terms of workouts and all of that, I am not the best person to answer that question. You could follow a feed on Instagram. His channel, his handle is movementmechanic.in. You could follow him and he'll help you with exercises. Okay, Sanjay, wait, all right. What is the role of GLP-1 RA in type 2 diabetes? So what do you really want to know there, Sanjay? Okay, I'm getting like a whole stream of questions. Now I have to, all right. Eating fruits. So let me just finish each person's questions and I'll go to the new person. Eating fruits, what do you recommend? Ramesh, I recommend all fruits. Really, like, there are a lot of people who recommend keto diets for diabetics. I am not of that philosophy. I have seen us reversing diabetes with fruits. So we recommend all fruits, but that is given the underlying assumption that you're taking care of the other things that you should not be eating. So if we find out that you have insulin resistance and then if you're eating a very high fat diet along with fruits, then that's going to create a problem for sure. Any special care to be taken by type 1 diabetics? So Naina, there, right, now we work with type 1 diabetics also, and what we have been able to do with the type 1 diabetics is we've been able to reduce their need for insulin. So there was a lady who was taking 36 units of insulin. We actually brought her insulin requirement to I think 20 units within 3 months. So the care to be taken with type 1 diabetics is you have to make sure that you know, your insulin and the glucose, those levels are in sync. It's better if type 1s actually use a continuous glucose monitor, because that helps you really understand what's happening with your glucose levels through the day. Mohit, can you also share some of the best practices that we should follow to reduce the risk of diabetes? For sure. So I have seen in our work, what has really worked for a lot of diabetics is making sure that they eat the right kind of food. So completely avoiding processed food, right? Like just no processed food, because it is very, very high in polyunsaturated fats, which is something that triggers a very high level of inflammation. So avoiding processed food, avoiding dairy, I have seen helps diabetics a lot, because dairy triggers a lot of inflammation in the body. So we make sure anybody who comes on board, especially if they have insulin resistance because it's getting triggered by dairy, we ask them to avoid dairy. Refined sugar, refined oil. Actually, if you go to the Thrive website, you will see a couple of blogs that are talking about sweeteners and which ones are safe to use. So we would advise all diabetics to completely avoid all refined sugar and even jaggery. But then what can you have as sweet is there on the Thrive website in one of the blogs that we've written about sweeteners. So you can go check that out. Ramesh, why is that sometimes fasting is higher than PP? That happens because of something called as a Somyogi effect. So the Somyogi effect is because of a stress cascade that happens through the night. When you wake up, your body releases a lot of sugar in the morning, and you can Google the Somyogi effect. I can't really talk about it, like we'll go beyond our time if I talk about it. So you can check that out, but sometimes it can be because of an adrenal dysfunction also. So see, then this goes into the sometimes category, right? Like I am saying, it could be this or it could be that. Best is if you actually have any recent blood tests, you can send them to us, then we'll know more what is happening in your body. Sanjay, are there any broader nutrition plan to follow in breakfast, lunch and dinner? No, we don't really do that, because, the thing is, each person's body is unique. You have this thing called as bio-individuality, right? Where your genes are unique to you. While we are Indians, while we have that base Indian genetics, still what your parents contributed to your DNA is unique to you. So knowing which food you have to eat is a matter of really learning more about your body through your blood test, and then finding out what to recommend to you. See, broader, if I have to recommend, you can even Google that. Now, what is a healthy diet to eat? And then even Google will tell you that eat more fruits and vegetables, avoid processed food, avoid sugar. All that Google will tell you. Then that's too generic. That doesn't really help anyone. So yeah, and then coming back to your question of where did that question go? GLP-1 RAC. That is a treat. The thing is, these medications are just treating the symptom. They're never treating the root cause, right? The question to ask always with any disease is what is causing this disease, and how can we restore the body's function to not trigger this disease anymore? Because every disease is your body just telling you, hey, something's wrong, fix it. So that's my answer to your GLP-1 RA question, because that's anyway medicine Indian. I know you come from the pharmaceutical industry, so what I do is an opposition of what you do. But anyway, we have some questions from Insta. So what to eat to improve? Actually, I'm doing a FB live, Zoom live, whatever, on immunity next week. Register for that and we'll speak about immunity more there, right? So आपको अगर immunity के बारे में जानना है, which is a very, very important topic, given that the stronger your immune system is, the better it is fighting off at viruses. Do come on for that session. I will be focusing entirely on immunity and nothing else in that session. That's happening next Sunday at the same time. What other questions are there? Can you also share best practices? Reduce the risk. I spoke of that, right? All right. Any other questions? Let me see if there's anything on Insta that I missed. All right. No. All right. All right, then let's end this. We've extended by 7 minutes already, but This was good. This was interactive. I would highly recommend, if you have any recent blood tests, or if you want to like just figure out what is it that you need to do to reduce your risk of diabetes, please talk to us. We are always available. We have this vision of healing 1 million people. I'm quickly going to go peek into the FB Live and see if there are any questions that have come up there. And then we'll end this session.